Once Human just launched its new servers, and I'm going to go over everything that you should transfer and why, and what the things we should prioritize, as well as how to send things over to the new seasonal server, and all the different transfer mechanics, and even what you should prioritize, as well as a whole bunch more. What's up world, it's Utopia back here with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so jumping right into it, how are we going to transfer different things? What do we have to do other than that there? So first up, we'll get into how to actually transfer to the new server. You're going to go to the top right and click onto the new phase. You'll then click the little sign up button and head to whatever server you want to pick. Once you click in there, then you'll be able to sign up for that server and it will transfer you to that specific server. Now you'll be able to do this from both the Eternal Land as well as different locations within your next server. So you'll be able to see your deviation menu here. Now I did have a bug here where you will see once you head into this section. So in order to get there, we're going to hit our inventory key. And you'll see here we do have like our inventory as normal. We're on the new server, so we don't have anything in our inventory besides a few things here. Some new seeds and stuff like that that we gathered just very quickly. But you'll see down here in the bottom right, we have this space time backpack. Once we click on that, we can then see all the stuff from our previous map or previous server. Again, you do not need to bring, I had a lot of questions in my last video, do I need to bring things into my inventory? Do I need to take it out of the storage crates? No, you do not. I tested this, I fully guinea pigged it. You do not need to bring anything into your inventory. You can leave everything in your crates and it will register. Then you can click on the transfer seasonal backpack. You're gonna see all your inventory stuff here, everything that you should bring, and what have you. Now I do have one bug here currently, which I do hope this is addressed sometime soon. As you can see with the other menus, we can scroll through here. On my deviation menu, I currently cannot scroll. I have more deviations than this. As you'll see, we can go through and kind of start adding ours in, and you'll see I get down to what I have in my deviations. If you have this bug, there is a way to fix it by keep putting in deviations and taking them out, and eventually you'll get the scroll back. Although it doesn't always work, as you can see here, we're not getting our scroll wheel. So what I do suggest is grab a bunch of deviations that you don't need currently, put those in here like my Digby boys. I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch until I get to the very end. Then I can go select the ones that I need and want through here, and then we can remove the Digby boys, put those back, and re-go select the ones that we want there if we do want any. That's my suggestion with the deviation menu. I'm going to go through each category step by step, what you should take in each category and prioritize, as well as how much things are going to cost. We're going to go over a few examples there, and if anything does get disclosed more on everything, on all the different costs there, I will be sure to link to it down below. So first up here, we're going to go to our tools section. We do have ammunition. This does cost quite a bit, as you see there. Our gold ammunition, just taking 230 bullets, almost cost us the full 20k. So bullets, definitely not worth taking at all. You should completely avoid any bullets. That is a lot. Even 1-to-1 here, that is quite a lot. You do not want to take any bullets whatsoever. Please do avoid that, as you can gather that very quickly. All this other stuff, even these other equipment items, are not worth to take. So I would 100% avoid those, especially fuel. As you see, we can only take 200 fuel, and that's already 20k. So please do not take any of these items. That's going to hurt you significantly if you do. You don't want any of this stuff up top here. What you're going to be focusing on in this category is your blueprints. Now, I would only recommend taking gold blueprints with double affixes. So like this one, crit damage and crit damage, or elemental damage, or you could take crit rate here and elemental damage, but I would only recommend taking your gold blueprints. Those are going to cost you 1,000. The purple blueprints are 800, and the blue blueprints are 500 each. I would avoid taking any of the blue ones or any of the purple ones. I would only take gold ones, and that would just be to sell to the current server or to the current people playing. And so more than likely, I am just going to be taking gold ones that have the double affixes. Like this one especially, this one has double crit rate. I'm going to take this one. It's only 1,000. I could then sell this one for energy links or starter source or a few other things there. So that is a really useful item to take. Next up here, we're jumping into our consumables tab. I would more than likely avoid this one entirely. Things are going to cost way too much here unless you wanted to take food items, but still, more than likely, you're not going to want to take any of these items here. These are going to cost you just way too much in what they actually do cost. Essentially, you can make these very easily. You know, obviously I have a lot of water here for my purifier, but again, we're not going to take water. We're not going to take any of that stuff. Also, if you didn't open up your crates like I didn't, I forgot to open up this one. This is also going to cost you. So I hope you guys listened to my last video to open up your crates. Otherwise, you're going to have to bring those. That's going to cost you right here $12.50. And that's just way too much there. So you really don't want to actually take this stuff. Again, and it will tell you how much things will cost. So like on there, when you hover over items here, 20 each, 60 each. So you can see these without putting them in there. It'll tell you in the right section there, as you can see, like this one, 10 per. And then I have 8 of those, so that's going to cost me 80. So I would avoid the consumables tab altogether. Even these deviated crops, I don't believe are worth it overall, because you can make these fairly easy. If you do run down, you have a little bit left over, you can consider maybe taking some of this stuff, especially your deviated crops. Jumping over to the materials tab. Now this one, I would actually not avoid. Acid's going to cost way too much. There are things like chips that could be potentially worth it, like the electronic parts here. More than likely, I would avoid all this stuff, except your seeds. The reason why is because there actually is some hard seeds to get. Onion seeds, I believe you can only buy 1 per week or 1 at a time. I believe it's somewhere in here. You have my onion seed. It's not going to cost me much. These are only 20 per, or actually only 10 per rather. And like the moral seeds are actually decently hard to get. If you have aloe vera, that's a really hard one to get. I tried farming that seed several days in a row. Not too long there, but I couldn't get a seed after getting like 20 to 25 aloe vera. So yeah, you're going to want to get seeds that are essentially really hard to get. You really only need 1 per. You don't want to stack up like that, like 14. You really don't have to get that many. You just need to have 1 per or a few per, or essentially make more seeds once you have 1. So I would recommend just taking 1 of each or a couple of each. Mushroom seeds are also really good. I've racked up like 20-ish here. And so that's another really good one to take. I would take seeds in this category. And the only other thing in this category is controllers. You actually can't take controllers. They don't cost that much. They're 20 each, which isn't a ton. 680 is not going to cost you a lot for 34 controllers. Definitely very much worth it. If you have a lot more controllers, I know people have like 80-ish. Still decent chunk, but not bad at all. So these are definitely worth taking, is your controllers and your seeds. This is for sure. Everything else I would skip in this category. Nothing else worth taking. As you see here, even sulfur, way too much. Jumping over to our special tab, I don't have anything in here. If there is anything you might be able to take, possibly, probably not. This is going to be for seasonal items, so anything we earn in this season will probably be gathered for next season, and you could take those over. Same thing for construction. I don't have anything here, even though I had a ton of furniture. It's not in here. If you have any furniture or anything in here that you see or want to utilize, you can take that if you'd like. I'm not too sure on these exact ones, obviously, because I don't have any to test that, but I would skip this category unless you really need to. Jumping over to our deviations, again, I had that problem I talked about, the scroll wheel issue, where I'm not able to scroll down. This does fix on occasion. Sometimes when I'm spamming these back and forth, it has let me scroll. I've noticed other people are perfectly fine and they can scroll on this page. I seemingly can't, but we're still going to go over, and I taught you the trick on how to fix that. I actually had to get rid of some Digby boys. I had like 30 of them, so you will have to dismantle those. You can do that in Eternal Land, and that's really going to be the only place you're going to be able to do that, unless you want to do that in your previous server before you transfer. So do know that you might have to dismantle those if you cannot scroll. This doesn't happen to everybody. I saw other streamers were able to perfectly fine scroll through these. I myself was not able to, so unfortunately I cannot scroll through my deviations, so I had to do this method and dismantle some in order to get to ones that I did want. What I would recommend here taking is the 5-star one. So anything you have 5-star, like this one here. Gingerbread House isn't like essential, but it does have a 5-star or 5-skill rating and a 4 activity rating here. This is very much utilized. Also, if you are transferring from a PvP to a PvE server like I did, or a PvE server to a PvP server, you might actually try to take some things like Dr. Teddy, for example, is a PvP only deviation. I'm going to have a list of all the deviations down below, but I will cover some of those right now. So certain ones that I could find. So for PvP, we actually do have Dr. Teddy, the Messianic Pyramid, and Polar Jelly technically is a PvP only server one, but not really. It's the PvP event that's also on PvE servers, so you can actually trade both of those out there. Technically, you don't need the Polar Jellies. I'm not sure how active the PvP stuff is on the PvE servers. It might actually be easier to get a Polar Jelly, but essentially, you might consider those there. I'm going to try this. I don't know for sure if these work. essentially I might update later on in the video or put an updated comment down below once I actually do bring stuff over, because I want to organize that stuff and I kind of want to get this video out to you guys. So unfortunately I didn't get to test this. I have heard that if you got these on a PvE server, you weren't able to interact that. I'm still going to try it. I think it's worth the test there, but I will keep an updated comment down below if these don't end up working. And then the PvE deviations that you might want to consider bringing to a PvP server are Enchanting Void, By the Wind, and Buzzy Bee. Those are the ones you can only get on those specific variants of those servers. So again here, I'm going to try to take Dr. Teddy, sorry, and I'm going to try to take Masonic Pyramid. That's another one that you can only get on PvP servers. I'm going to try to bring those to the PvE servers. They might not be able to work, so please do consider that. Don't take my advice. I believe also Atomic Lighter is a PvP only one. Again, it's not on the wiki. Stuff is really hard to find. Some places say it is, some places say it isn't. Also, if you have like a grow shroom, definitely want to take it. If you got a Rebecca, you might want to take her. Any of these later level deviations that take a while to get to or a while to level, you might want to take them, although Rebecca's not really utilized like that, but essentially you're waiting to get the Leia Lab unlocked or to get to that level to even participate in that. You also might consider things that are harder to get. Chefosaurus can be somewhat difficult. I might consider bringing one because he is sometimes a hard spawn to get. There are a few other ones that are decently hard to spawn, so I would consider definitely getting those if you had a hard time getting any of those. Obviously, if you have any 4 of 4s or 5 of 5 skill rating deviations, you should 100% bring those because you can actually sell those too as well to other players. So I would definitely consider bringing those. Any ones with really good traits. I believe I have a Digby Boy that has a really cool trait here. I think it helps all other deviations, or maybe just the Digby Boys itself, but an Old Man Knows the Ropes. I believe it helps a lot of deviations in your territory. That's a really cool trait there. I'm not sure on all the traits. Tried looking those up. Again, deviations are a little bit complex right now. Not everybody knows everything, but that's stuff that I would really consider for or prioritize for your deviation category. Now we're on to the complex part, is the weapons and the armor. Or it's really not complex, but overall, I wouldn't bring any of this stuff. You have the blueprints. The blueprints carry over. You can craft these eventually. You do have to get to a certain level to craft a lot of this stuff. This one requiring level 40. A lot of these do require level 40 that I've had. Unfortunately, you won't be able to get to that level, obviously, very fast. But depending on how quickly you play, you can get to those. And I feel like this overall, yes, you'll be able to cheese through things, but you'll see how much these cost. 11,000 for a purple weapon, and then for near 11,000 for this one. Some of these are going to cost 11,000. Some of these are going to cost, as you see, 10,500 or 10,000. It's quite a lot to bring. I really would consider or avoid bringing any weapons. If you are going to do it, you're going to have to limit yourself on deviations, which is, again, perfectly fine. You have to limit yourself on the seeds you bring, avoid gear itself. We'll get over to that in a second, but honestly, I would avoid the weapons unless you really want to cheese it. You're going to have blueprints. You can craft the blueprints for now. You can cheese that sort of overall, and it's not really going to be utilized. You're really helping yourself early game, but not later game. You're really going to hinder yourself with some of this stuff. So I would avoid weapons, but if you really want to kind of cheese some of the beginning activities, make it a little bit easier on yourself, especially in the hard modes, maybe consider a weapon, but just know this is quite taxing on your resource. And then again, for gear, I would avoid this entirely. 5,000 for one of these items is absolutely insane. Unless it's a special item here, I would avoid that. So like this stuff, I would not bring, even because again, the blueprints carry over. You can craft this stuff in game. You do not need to bring this stuff over. You can just craft it later on, but they don't require levels. So I would avoid a gear entirely, even if it has certain things, unless you collected a gear piece and it was like super rare to you. I would avoid gear. If anything, bring a weapon, but this is going to be insanely taxing, and you can make weapons kitted out. Most of your weapon damage, if you didn't know, comes from mods and upgrading them, so it really doesn't matter too much on the certain things here. Like your affixes do matter, but essentially, I would avoid that for now, as you can just craft other weapons and get to that eventually. I'll go over what I'm bringing, or at least somewhat what I'm bringing. I'm not going to have it fully done with this video because I do want to focus on that after I get this out to you guys. I want to prioritize that and get that to you guys, because I know servers are dropping now and EU servers went a little bit earlier. But I will kind of showcase a little bit of what I'm bringing, and so you guys can see and kind of get that for an example. Now these are just a few things that I'm bringing so far. So I am bringing all my gold blueprints that have the double crit rate or double crit damage or double elemental damage. Obviously my controllers, bringing one of each of the rare seeds and a few mushroom seeds, and as well as that onion seed, and then 2 of the moral seeds. I'm also bringing my polar jelly, as I'm, again, not too sure how hard those are going to be, but I bring my highest polar jelly, a Digby boy that has that, an old man knows the ropes. I believe it helps all deviations. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it does seem like a pretty decent trait. I'm also bringing my highest cat overall that helps with that. My mini feaster, a 5 of 5 gingerbread house, my highest lone wolf, atomic lighter, Masonic pyramid, as these are not obtainable on the PvE server, as well as the Dr. Teddy. My highest Rebecca, definitely my grow shroom, as this is very rare, and then the Rebecca, because again you'll have to be in the lab in order to get her, and that will take quite a while for people to get to that, at least seemingly so. I might bring a few others. I haven't for sure decided. Obviously I can't bring a weapon, as I've already filled this out, and I really don't think it's gonna be worth it compared to all this other stuff that I can bring and my other stuff that I want to bring with the deviations. Also avoiding gear for now. I might fill this out with a few more deviations, like my highest logging beaver, but these are just the ones that I want to get out of the way and prioritize. I might look at some other stuff here, maybe even like my deviated moral seeds or things like that, but again, those are going to be really easy to make, and I'm probably going to avoid everything else. So, but that is just a little bit of an example of what I'm bringing so far and what I'm utilizing for this space. That should about cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe. Until the next one. Deuce.